Good day and welcome back to another DBZ Dokkan Battle video. So in this video we are going to take a look at the new, well not the new, but the new and improved INT Gohan, who transforms immediately into Great Saiyaman. So this is one of those interesting cards that they used to bring out. These units transform immediately, kind of like Ribrianna. And basically he immediately turns into the Great Saiyaman. Like literally as the battle starts, he'll turn into the Great Saiyaman regardless of whatever else is going on. As the Great Saiyaman, they've made him pretty good, especially against extreme class enemies. Right now his passive is pretty interesting. It's attack and defense of 158%, and the chance of performing a critical hit and a chance of evading enemy super attacks plus 18% as well. He gains an additional 58% attack and defense when he is performing his attack if it is against the extreme class enemy. He also gains or is sealed when he faces Pepe Gals, but he gains damage reduction when he's on the same turn as a Pepe Gals or as a youth category ally. So he's got a pretty interesting makeup. Obviously he's designed to fight against extreme enemies. In terms of build, you don't want to go full evasion like I did. This was before, back when I was using him for a free to play INT ESBR run. And so what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to mainly build him into a split of crit and additional. He lowers attack and defense on his super attack, which is really helpful in the stages that he'll be used in. But you're going to want to do kind of a split and go mainly crit and additional. You can go more additional because he does obviously have a built-in crit chance, but it's not too high, only 18%. In terms of links, he's got some pretty interesting links. Obviously he's kind of designed to link with other Great Saiyaman units, so he has links like Justice, Patrol, Shattering the Limit, Supreme Warrior and such. He's mainly going to be a unit that you'll use on Defenders of Justice and on the Majin Buu Saga team. Transformation boost, don't really see him happening there. Special pose, he is definitely viable as well. So those are his three categories: Special pose, Majin Buu Saga and Defenders of Justice. We are going to be using him in a Majin Buu Saga team. We're going to make him fight one super enemy and one extreme enemy. I'm going to be linking him up with the LR Great Saiyaman and various other ones and just see how he links up. I believe he links up best with the LR Great Saiyaman, which is obviously his best linking partner. It's also a free-to-play unit, and between their links they actually have some really nice linking ability. It actually makes them both really viable. So when that LR, Great Saiyaman gets its EZA eventually down the line, that Great Saiyaman 1 and 2, he's going to be a mean pairing partner for those two. I mean, his defense gets really high. You guys will see he does decent damage. They link great. You can link level them, and their link levels work really well. They go up really well. They are like strong link levels. We're talking attack and defense to a high value key, everything like that. So yeah, overall going to be a pretty interesting pairing. I mean, they already are a pretty cool pairing to run. They're actually quite fun. I quite like this unit. I did like him. I used to use him in my SBR runs as a free-to-play option all the time, and now I'm just going to keep using him because he's great. So we've got Heroes of Justice, Patrol, Signature Pose, all activated here. Those are like his three kind of, Great Saiyaman links, I want to say. We're going to get an attack boost as well from the LR Great Saiyaman, and we've got some support from the Tien here. So we're looking pretty good. Obviously we had some pretty bomb attack and defense numbers there, but he's got some major support on this rotation. Obviously from the LR Great Saiyaman 1 and 2 and from the Tien, so we just have to keep that in mind. And then he's going to hit 2.1 million, which is very good. Remember, he can link level quite a bit. Patrol, Signature Pose, all of those are decent attack links as well. So he can definitely gain some more attack. And he's fighting a super class enemy, which means he's not even activating his full passive. So we're definitely seeing some really impressive numbers from a free-to-play card that recently EZA'd. We're seeing some really, really solid numbers here. Obviously, in terms of usability, he's not necessarily on the most categories. It's probably his biggest downer, I guess, in inverted commas, is that he is not on a lot of categories. That's okay. It's not the end of the world. Obviously, we would like it if he was on 20 different categories, but he's definitely a key component of the signature pose and Defenders of Justice. I think he really helps out to flesh out those teams, and especially since they don't get a lot of they don't get a lot of new units all the time, because their units are kind of niche and a little bit off-brand. Having strong free-to-play units like this really helps out the category and helps out those who pull the leads like Videl or INT Go tanks and things like that. So yeah, definitely a good move in the right direction. So we've got him here. He shares 4 links with the green Great Saiyaman 2 and 1, and they provide the signature pose buff, 157k defense, so very good. Obviously we're running double buffs. He's got that running mate that is the Great Saiyaman 1 and 2 who give a whopping 70% defense, so that is something to consider. But you can see how high their defense is alongside him as well. 2.1 million again, really good there. Obviously he's going to lower attack and defense as well, so yeah, really impressive so far. I mean, look, even managing to get the LR Great Saiyaman 1 and 2 above 1 million is very impressive, considering they have no attack stat, no attack passive whatsoever. So yeah, he is a very cool linking partner for them. And yeah, I mean, overall, obviously the Majin Buu Saga team didn't necessarily need this INT Great Saiyaman EZA to be a good team, but like I said, he's going to be really solid on the Defenders of Justice signature pose, and he's another great free-to-play option for that team. I mean, if you start EZAing the Great Saiyaman 2 and 1, you start EZAing, all of these other Defenders of Justice, and you can have a really cool Great Saiyaman themed team, which I think will be great and super solid. So overall, I'm really happy with this EZA. I think it provides a lot to the game. I think it really helps out the category. So here we have no additional support, barring the obviously the Great Saiyaman 1 and 2, 143,000, so still very solid. That's a very good number, 143,000. Like, it's just under the threshold of being able to tank in some of the Gods of Destruction event. The reason we let the Great Saiyaman 1 and 2 go first is because with their 18 key, they provide an attack boost to all allies. So we're going to see probably one of his bigger attack stats, 1.9 million. Remember, we had no offensive support like we did in the previous turns. So you can see without offensive support, he's close to 2 million. With that support, he's over 2 million. With a bit of link leveling, you can probably push that to closer to 2.5 million with support, which is a good number. Remember, he's only fighting a super class enemy here. He's not fighting a extreme class enemy. He's not maximizing his passive and everything like that. The only thing you have to be wary of is if he fights a Pepe Gal enemy or if he fights a youth enemy. Now, there's some SBR stages where that's going to be a bit difficult. Things like the Majin Buu Saga SBR and ESBR are going to be hard for him because there are some youth enemies in that stage. But beyond that, everything else should be perfectly fine. It's a very small negative condition in his passive that shouldn't cause him too many issues. But it is present there. It will basically prevent him from super attacking. It will reduce his damage a large portion. It doesn't remove any of his defensive capabilities, so he should be okay defensively. It just prevents him basically from hitting a child or a Pepe Gal, basically, which I think is fine. It suits the character, so I don't knock those kind of conditions too much. It's a very niche situation, so yeah, definitely okay. 143,000, obviously we're getting him paired up with that Great Saiyaman 1 and 2 again. Got those 5 links activated. We're fighting an extreme enemy, so we should see a decent attack stat, higher than the 1.9, and we do. We see 2.3 straight away, which is obviously, pretty good for a free-to-play unit. 2.3, no offensive support there. Lowering attack and defense, he'll have evasion active. He has that, innate 18% crit chance. So yeah, I definitely think it's best to go for a split build on this guy. Definitely, maybe you can swing it how you wish, but I think definitely a little bit more additional rather than crit, because I think you're going to be using him in SBR the most if you are going to use him. Other than that, you could possibly go for more of a crit build. It just depends on what you plan to use. the Great Saiyaman unit in, really. But beyond that, I mean, very, very impressed so far. I think he's done a great job. I think they did a great job with this EZA. They kept the theme of the character, but they made him really powerful and strong for the niche categories that he's on, and provided a situation in which he's even better. So I think that's really, really great, and I think that's really awesome. Obviously, having free-to-play options like this really helps people in fleshing out their teams, and I think it's good for the game overall to rather use free-to-play cards to fill up niche categories. I think it benefits the game more, because things like Dragon Ball Saga, Youth, Defenders of Justice, maybe future Z Fighters or Frieza Force, teams or anything like that, where it's niche Ginyu Force units, Team Bardock units, things like that. It's great to have them filled out with free-to-play cards, because it kind of fleshes out the category and just allows people to assimilate those into their teams and not have to summon all the time and feel like their team's being gated by some mechanism that prevents it from being as cool as like a full final trump card Gogeta team. But yeah, we're gonna hopefully, I think we should probably see the biggest, or one of the biggest stats we can see from the unit here. We've got the full 2.6 million pretty much. We do have a 20% offensive buff here, and we obviously have the 18 key buff from the Great Saiyaman 1 and 2. So overall, obviously pretty solid, pretty cool attack stat there. Really nice as well. Obviously great defensive stats as well, hovering around 143, 150,000 with this Great Saiyaman next to him. And this unit benefits a lot from links. I mean, he gains both defense and attack from his primary links: Patrol, Signature Pose, Justice. All are great links. They all provide attack and defense. Shattering the Limit, Supreme Warrior, Supreme Power, all of those really help out as well. Great attacking links. So yeah, really, really solid, really impressive, and I don't think there's anything to complain about. I think he does great. I think he will be really good in SBR and ESBR. He might be able to hold his own in the Gods of Destruction events to a certain extent. The only issue is, for the most part, is that he doesn't get his full passive, because he's only fighting the super class gods. They're only super class, so we don't really get to see like him fighting them fully or anything. Another great attack stat here. Obviously we've got the benefits of having TN on the rotation, so we don't really like get that full passive activated. There's no extreme God of Destruction, I don't think. I think they're all super, which is a little bit bumming, but I mean, it does obviously just mean that he's kind of somewhat limited on that aspect. I mean, that's fine. I mean, that's a very high level to get to, so just the fact that he can compete in most other events and be a real big buffer to your team, and you've managed to pull Videl, or you've need someone to fill a gap in your Majin Buu Saga team, that's also viable. He's just great on most aspects. He's also got innate ki built into his passive as well, especially when fighting extreme enemies, so you shouldn't have too much problem getting this guy going. As a floating option, he's probably great as well, or just in general as a main option alongside a Great Saiyaman 1 and 2, or even just as a floater in a team that you kind of feel like you need a stopgap, and I think he's great. He's got really good roles. Once say EZA, the Great Saiyaman 1 and 2, this guy's going to be really, really good, because who knows what they're going to do with them. Even if they just add offense to them, they're going to be nuts. So yeah, it's going to be really impressive. But here we go, we've got a kind of full Great Saiyaman rotation. We obviously get the big buff from the Great Saiyaman 1 and 2. And then we'll get a good idea of what his attack stats going to be like. But again, we are pretty much seeing not what he's maxed out at, because he's not link leveled, but we're seeing a good idea of what his maxes are here. He's under a great leader skill under the Majin Buu Saga. He's obviously got the full support most times. 2.6 million again, just looking really good. Not many free-to-play cards hit 2.6 million that aren't Prime Battle, EZA, LRs and things like that. So just looking super solid overall. So yeah, I think that's everything we need to see from him in terms of attack stats and defensive stats and everything like that. I think we'll just go through his links, but obviously his links are a little bit restrictive, you're mainly looking for the full benefit of his, link leveling from Great Saiyaman 2 and 1, Great Saiyaman 1 and 2 LR. He can link decently with the Gohan and Videl unit, with the Videl and Gohan unit, with the Teen Gohan unit. He links okay. He's got some decent linking units, but we'll take a look at that now. But yeah, overall he's been pretty impressive, and I think you definitely, if you didn't easy aim or pick him up before, you should definitely do so now. I think he's great. I think he's really, really good. So yeah, let's take a look at his links. Obviously, we saw there that we're getting the links pretty much all the time with the physical Great Saiyaman 1 and 2, which is, kind of his best linking partner. But I mean, beyond that, there are a couple other units and some other free-to-play options where you can score a decent amount of links. So one of the main links is Patrol, his major key link on a Defenders of Justice team, Hero of Justice, and of course we're looking at Signature Pose. So those are kind of his main links. Obviously, as you can see here, the Red Great Saiyaman and Videl, the physical Great Saiyaman 1 and 2, the Tech Great Saiyaman 2 and 1, are all units that share these 3 links with them, which is great. They're all decent options. I mean, some of them aren't going to carry you through hard content or anything, but they're all really relatively easy free-to-play options to get. The Great Saiyaman 1 and 2 are quite difficult to get, but I mean, beyond that, they all are pretty much really solid units in terms of that whole, kind of Defenders of Justice situation. And you can run them on Majin Buu Saga. They share every category with them, which is obviously really good. These guys also have Shattering the Limit, which they share with him as well. Great Saiyaman and Videl as well share that in, so he's got options. The reason you're not seeing the Great Saiyaman here is, obviously, remember, he starts as Gohan, and for some reason he has a completely different link set as Gohan, which is strange. I mean, I don't see the point in why they gave him a different link set when he was just going to transform straight away. I mean, it probably matches Gohan more, but you're never going to see him, so it's a bit strange. But that being said, solid linking partners there. Obviously, when we add in Shattering the Limit, or we just go with Shattering the Limit and we go for something like Supreme Power, that's his generic links. And there's a couple decent options here as well. Obviously, mainly from the Majin Buu Saga, it's kind of like a Majin Buu Saga thing, Shattering the Limit and Supreme Power. So some decent options here, nothing too crazy. We've obviously got units like this Ultimate Gohan, we've got units like the SS3 Goku, 2 links, one of them being a key link, so it's fine, and it's a 3 key link when it maxes out. And Supreme Power is a very good attack and defense link, so it's okay. It's not necessarily the best situation, but if you're running out of options, you really just want to run him, you maybe don't have anyone else, you can always run him with those units. A unit like Hercule and Buu is great. They obviously provide innate support as well, so that's really awesome from that end. That being said, like I said, there are plenty free-to-play options that you can run with this Great Saiyaman, so you don't need to ever really worry about working him into a team. Brainiacs is another powerful link for him. So obviously that's something we're going to want to try and get, and you can get Brainiacs and Sharing the Limit as well from variable units. So he has a lot of free-to-play options, as you can see. Even things like Casserelle, units like that, who are also on Defenders of Justice, actually have a decent linking situation with them. Obviously just missing out on Tournament of Power, but you can see there's a couple options here. We've got the LR, Master Roshi, we've got the Krillin. Obviously they're not always on the same categories, so barring anything, try and pick from the ones I've just shown you. But as always, guys, thanks for watching the video, and I'll see you next time. Cheers, stay safe, and bye.